Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those who are watching, and welcome to today's IELTS analysis class, where we will go through an IELTS task and provide the answers in order to help to improve our knowledge and our ability in relation to the IELTS exam. So today we are focused on IELTS writing task part 1. So if you are watching this class live, please let me know in the chat box. Welcome to all of you. And also, just let me know where you're watching from today. So I can see Darshana is in the class. Hello to you, and welcome to today's class. And for anyone else who's watching as well, just let me know in the chat box. We are, of course, streaming live on both YouTube and Facebook. So there is an opportunity to get involved on both of these platforms. So focusing on today's class, we are looking at describing a graph, and the key language that we will be focusing on is making comparisons. Okay, so I can see a few other students are joining us. Jesse's joined us. Hello to you, Jesse, and also Nosa as well, and Gabrielle. Hello to all of you. So Darshana, you are watching from India. Very warm welcome to you. And Gabrielle is watching from the Philippines. So great to see that you're watching the class live today. Also, Adajet, hello to you. Welcome to the class. Okay. So, making comparisons then when describing a graph. First of all, just a quick overview. The most common task for IELTS writing is describing a graph. And in order to do this successfully, we should make sure that we have a clear introduction where we write about the information that the graph shows. We should also have a short overview where we relate the key features from the graph that we will be describing. We also need to make sure that the language we use in our graph is both accurate and shows variety. And we should make relevant comparisons. So it's point 4 that I will be focusing on in today's class. So making relevant comparisons involves reporting accurate data. We have to make sure that the data that we report from the graph is correct. So that involves obviously checking what we are writing carefully and making sure that we're constantly cross-referencing what we're writing with the graph itself. We must, of course, make sure that we use accurate language. So here are some examples. If we are making comparisons with sales, for example, we could use the expression that A sold significantly more than B. So using the adverb significantly shows that it wasn't just a case of it was a little bit more, but it was a great deal more, a large amount more. And so adding significantly helps to make our language more accurate. If it were just a small difference between A and B, we could say that A saw slightly fewer sales than B. However, if it was a situation where A sold, again, a lot more than B, it could be a situation where A sold, if it was a situation where A and B sold almost the same amount, then we could use a sentence such as A sold almost as much as B. Okay, so these are ways of talking about small differences, large differences, and also talking about comparisons where they're almost the same value. So using accurate language is important, but also so is using a variety of language. So we can use some variety by using expressions such as A sold virtually twice as much as B. So here you can see this is significantly more, but we're showing more variety, and we're even showing as well, we're being more specific with the language that we use by stating that A sold virtually twice as much as. Another expression we could use is that B saw half as many sales as A. So another way of making a comparison, and it's pretty similar to the first sentence, but you just change the order the other way round. So by changing the order, you're creating variety in terms of the sort of language that you are able to use. And another way to express this idea is that A sold double the amount of computers, for example, compared to B. And so that's another way we can introduce variety. So it's the same idea in each of these cases, but we're able to express this idea using different language. And that's where we are able to achieve variety. Okay, so I can see that we've had a few other people that have joined us in the class. Hello to Adil, who's watching from Kuwait and is an English lover. You're in the right place then, Adil. And welcome to Jayshree as well. Okay, so these are some examples then of language that we could use to make comparisons. Here now is a bar chart. You can see here we've got information. What I would like you to do then is, looking at this information, tell me, write sentences, if you would, in the chat box. What sort of comparisons could we make between these different categories in this bar chart? So what ideas come to your mind? So if you could share your sentences in the chat box, that would be wonderful. It's a great opportunity to practice using some language. And this is obviously relevant, important language when it comes to the first task within IELTS writing. So what could we say? Let's have a look, for example, at action and comedy. What comparison could we make between action and comedy? As I say, let me know in the chat if you have any suggestions. So Henson and Joy have joined us in the class. Hello to both of you. Do you have any suggestions here on a sentence we could make comparing action and comedy? Or any other parts of the graph that we could compare? Okay. Let's have a look at some examples then. So if you do share your sentences, I will have a look at them, and we'll have a look at those together. But let's have a look at some examples. Okay, so Puneet has shared a sentence: men interested in action, most of all the others. Yeah, so I would just rephrase that slightly, Puneet, but that is a good observation. So we could say that the most popular genre of film for men was action movies. Okay, so we could use that sentence, couldn't we? Jayshree has said men prefer watching action movies over romantic movies. Certainly, that is true. Definitely true there. Thank you for that, Jayshree. Punit says, whereas comedy accounted for least preference among men. Okay, that's not quite true, because if we look at comedy, it's actually the second most popular. The least popular, or the lowest preference, would be romantic comedies. So we do have to make sure, of course, that we are reporting accurate information. So Deanne says, overall, it can be observed that 40% of men watch action film, while most watch action film the most, while romantic comedy the least, at less than 10%. Okay, so there is some accurate reporting of figures there, but let's be careful that we are reporting what information is shown in the chart. So it doesn't say that 40% of men watch action films. It just says that 40% of men say that their favorite genre is action films. So it may be that 80% of men watch action films, but only half of those have it as their favorite genre. So we do have to make sure that we are accurate in the information we report. Yep, so Adajit says, 40% of men, or actually said 40 men, but it should be 40%. So 40% of men prefer action movies, and it should be 5% prefer romantic comedy. Yeah. Although, to be fair, it doesn't actually say percentage here. To be honest, it doesn't. We've assumed that we are referring to percentages, but no, that is a fair point. It is a case of yeah, just raw numbers, isn't it? So 40 men prefer action comedy, and 5 prefer romantic comedy. So yeah, since it doesn't actually specify percentages, that would be a fair sentence. So thank you for that, Adijat. It can be seen that action is twice as much as the comedy film for men. Okay, good. That is a good sentence. So here we could say that action is twice as popular as comedy. That would be a way that we could phrase that. Okay, very nice. So this is Jan Michael, who says it can be noted that action is half of that in comedy film for men. So nice idea. Grammar's not quite accurate, but we'll have a look at that moving forward. So let's have a look at some sample sentences we could use. So some great suggestions there, and some of your suggestions actually are very similar to the sentences we've got here. So here are 3 sentences that we could make. So action movies are what as popular as comedies for men? Which of these words or phrases could we use to complete this sentence? Let me know if you have any suggestions. Okay, so for the first one then, we can say that action movies are twice as popular. Yep, they're twice as popular because if we look at the graph, we can just go back and have a quick look. Yeah, action, we can see has 40. That's the value, whereas comedy has 20. So 40 is twice as much as 20. So we can say that action movies are twice as popular as comedies for men. What about number 2? Thrillers are... What can we say about thrillers and romantic comedies? Good. Okay, so we've got some good suggestions here by Jayshree and Adajat. 3 times. So thrillers are 3 times as popular as romantic comedies. And again, if we just go back to check, so thrillers we can see are around 15. Romantic comedies are around 5. So 3 times would certainly fit here. Just squeeze that in. Okay, and finally for number 3, science fiction films and westerns are only, well, we've only got one option left, but let's make sure it is correct. So we're comparing science fiction and western films with comedies. And we can see that with science fiction and western, we have the value of 10, comedies has the value of 20. Therefore, the answer must be, it must be half. That's the only option we have left remaining. And it also turns out that this is true. Science fiction films and westerns are only half as popular as comedies. So these are some different ways that we can make comparisons then by looking at the figures on the charts, and we are able to use these expressions as. So this is one of the most common ways of making expressions, as plus adjective and as. And we're able to do them by using these different fractions. So half as a fraction, or in this case twice, 3 times, providing variety in language. Okay, so thank you very much for your attendance today. I just want to make you aware of the IELTS Scholarship Program, which we are offering at the moment. There's an opportunity to sign up to that program today, so please contact Swoosh support at Swoosh English if you would like to find out more information about this. Okay, so just having a look at the comments here. I can see that, yeah, so half is the same as twice. Well, half is the opposite to twice, isn't it? So, yeah, twice as much. So if A is twice as much as B, then B must be half as much as A. So you change the order of the sentence, and then you can use those different expressions. Okay, so J3, you need more practice. Well, this is something that we can have a look at in future classes as well. But indeed, thank you very much for all those who have attended today. If you would like more information, please have a look at the email address that I have shared in the chat box. So you will see that in both the Facebook and the YouTube chat comments. So thank you again, and I will see you in the next class, which we will do on Tuesday. Until then, take care and have a great rest of the day.